Initially, I thought Say Young would be someone to watch in Million Dollar Secret. And I think she was for the time that she was there. But unfortunately, her downfall was pretty quick. She came in pretty bold, coming with some legit theories. And initially, I was like, maybe she's coming in a bit too hot. Like she was suggesting like an all-female alliance, which I think in theory is quite good. But I feel like in this type of game, I feel like alliances are finicky, especially when only one person can win the prize, because that kind of adds as an incentive to look out for yourself because only one person is walking away with this prize. It's not like it's a cash share. And on top of that, the kind of people that she was approaching for this all-female alliance, like when she was approaching Lauren about it, I kind of got the sense right away that Lauren's the type of person who would probably throw you under the bus if it came down to it in terms of this female alliance. But I'd be interested to hear from the female viewers watching whether you'd be on board with a female alliance in this type of show if initially the women outnumbered the men. I would be on board with it so long as it was working. But if I suspected there was some snakery in there, then I'm playing my own game again. But I would do alliances in good faith. In good faith if I felt like the vibes were there. But if I felt like the vibes were off, then no. I'm doing things my own way. But I would word it strategically. I would word it to say like I'm open to being on board, but ultimately like if I have to vote a way that benefits myself, I'm gonna do that. But right now I'm on board. I think that's how I would pitch myself. But yeah, she came in with these strong ideas. She was quite smart. She was putting pieces together. Was she getting things right? I don't think she was getting things right, but I think she was on the right track. And I do think she was a valuable player. But her downfall was her getting emotional. And unfortunately, in these type of games where it's all about deception, where people are, nitpicking at behavior, monitoring people's behavior with a fine tooth comb, with a fine tooth magnifying glass. Any extreme emotion or deviation from previous behavior is going to look suspicious. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Say Young. I definitely get in this type of game is very high pressure, especially with like $1 million are on the line, and on top of that you're not really guaranteed it. You don't know whether you're going to get eliminated or not. You've got people that are trying to catch you out. You don't know who your friends are. You're isolated. You don't have a support system. Who knows where she was, and depending where she's at in her cycle, that could be a lot of stress. That could be a very emotional time, and that could be exacerbated by the environment. But anyway, basically, they were at the table. I don't know if it was like breakfast or something, but they were basically trying to retrace their steps to cat out the secret millionaire. And people are saying, do you remember where you sat at breakfast the day before? And Say Young just freezes and says that she can't remember. And then she just bursts out crying. Obviously, we know that she's not the millionaire at this point, but the fact that she bursts out crying, and some people have found her suspicious already because, like I said, she's been a hard hitter. She's been throwing out these theories. And I think even the day before, she was like rummaging through where they were staying at, like looking behind books and stuff like that, like just looking a bit shifty to somebody, to people who are desperate trying to pin something on someone. And because she starts crying, people who were suspicious of her saw that as manipulative or saw it as a dramatic display. And she herself is even acknowledging like, yes, this is very dramatic, but it just makes her cry harder, because I feel like it's a thing where like, oh shit, I'm crying, and oh shit, people think I'm being dramatic, people think I'm suspicious because I'm crying, but I can't stop crying, and then it gets worse. And I think that's what it was with Say Young. And I feel like her getting emotional, because this isn't the last time she gets emotional. She gets emotional at the round table elimination as well, which again doesn't really help her case for people who are suspicious against for people who are suspicious of her. And it kind of felt like she does not fit the portfolio. And it kind of felt like people were already suspicious of people crying, right? But it seemed like some people got a pass for crying and some people didn't, or some people were scrutinized less for crying than other people. And unfortunately, it seemed like people were buying say Young's tears less than they were, say, Lauren. And like I said, a lot of these times on these shows, people are looking at things from a stereotypical lens. And at the elimination, it was down to Lauren and Say Young. They ended up both throwing each other under the bus, and they're both pretty much crying. I think Lauren was crying a bit less at the elimination table, but they were both very emotional. But like my point, like the point I've been saying, in these shows, a lot of people don't really have much to work with. They get clues, but they don't really have concrete evidence. So a lot of things that are deemed as suspicious behavior, they're going off stereotypes. So when we're looking at two emotional women, we've got Say Young, a very successful Asian American model minority, and then we've got Lauren, the middle class Midwestern white stay-at-home mom. In terms of emotional women who are criers, if we're going to stereotype somebody who'd be more believable or who people would scrutinize less for being emotional, it would be Lauren. Who would be the smart woman weaponizing her tears? I would suspect Lauren personally. But in terms of stereotypical views in society, people would be suspicious of Say Young weaponizing her tears, because people just wouldn't imagine her being emotional and crying in real life. And I think that definitely came into play with the vote, because ultimately Say Young lost the battle against Lauren. I feel like if Say Young was cool, calm and collected, I think she would have had a better chance. But I got to hear from you guys. Do you think it was the emotional outburst that kind of put the nail in the coffin? Because yeah, it does look it was dramatic. It was very dramatic. And I would be a little bit suspicious of that. I'm not going to lie. But out of the two, personally, I would have suspected Lauren more, personally. But I got to hear from you guys. Do you think the critiques of Say Young were valid? And out of the two, Lauren and Say Young, who do you think was actually more suspicious? Do you think the right person got voted out based on suspicions alone? What do you guys think?